Are you struggling with a debilitating injury that forced you out of the corporate grind? Dell's story is one you won't want to miss. In this powerful part 2 video, he candidly shares how a life-changing injury led him to leave the traditional workforce and take a leap of faith to start his own business, the Flakedemic. Discover the resilience and determination that fueled his transition and get inspired to pursue your own entrepreneurial dreams, even in the face of adversity. If you're seeking the courage to make a big career change, then this is a must watch.
Let's go. Asteroid of fear. So I didn't know it was a lot of flaky shit going on before I got to the project, and that's why they shipped the other person out. Um, there was a problem with management. The client was having a problem um, providing and also just working with us. So instead of the higher ups addressing the problem, like, hey, like they thought fixing the problem was send the person out that's like, hey, this is not right. Ship that person out. They moved me in to like assist, like I said, but like I was there doing the work that I supervise. A team of like usually I have about 4 people. It was just me. I was breaking OSHA rules every day. I was doing shit that can get me hurt every day. I have emails to prove it. Like I'm asking, like, where's the resources? What's going on? I'm talking to, other coworkers and other projects. They're like, yo, I would just go home. I would just leave. I would not be there. That you're not there to do that work. And again, so when you said I am that type A, I was still out there doing the work, even though I know I shouldn't have been doing it. But in my head, I'm like, they ain't gonna have me. They're gonna get the help from me. They, my company's looking, they're not gonna have me just out here. And then it just became, hey, we're on a time crunch. Get out here and do this work. I'm like, yo, that work over here. Excuse me. I need a forklift. I don't even have my forklift license. They're like, you got to make it happen. So I'm out here like doing shit where I need a forklift, but I'm just using like a jack and like running shit out of Connexes, like everything dangerous. But they pushed me to do it. They pushed me. My boss was like, sorry, dude, but we got to get it done. Like, you're the only, like, I'm like, wait, though, but my coworker who's the same level, why is this guy not helping me? Why is he over here doing administrative shit? And I'm out here doing this dirty ass work. Like I'm talking about, I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas in the summer, outside,
Ah,
outside, like throwing metal away in containers, doing all this by myself, dude. And I'm just like, this is not right. And they flaked on me. And my boss was put in that situation. He knew it. He would be like, yo, like, I'm sorry, man, it's almost over. Just push through. That's what I was getting from them. Push through. It's almost over. I had a senior VP one day. I was coming. I was working overnights, so I was coming home and to the hotel in the morning, and I had like 2 bottles of wine, like big ass bottles of wine, because it was a rough ass night. I'm like filthy. Like I'm a project manager. I'm wearing a button up shirt and like khakis. I'm filthy. It's like my shirt looked like I was at a rave or some shit. Um, so I walk in and they're like, "Oh shit, rough night." I'm like, "Yeah, rough night. Where's my help, dude? This is not what I do. Like, what's going on?" And then the senior VP told me this. Hey man, look, I know it's hard. Look, push through. We're almost over. Once it's over, we're gonna celebrate. We're gonna party. We're gonna have a party. I'm like, so like they were pushing me to do dangerous shit. And then 4 days later, I'm out doing dangerous shit. I'm lifting something and I'm going out of a Connex and I felt my hip just pop and it went numb. And I'm like, damn, what is that? So I kind of just like walked it off, worked the rest of the damn night because I'm a gangster. So I keep working and I tell my boss, like, yo, like, I don't know, like I feel something like a pinching in there, something happened. And we didn't fill out a report right away because I was like, all right, maybe it's something small.
right.
End up end up being a torn labrum. My hip collapsed. I had to get a hip replacement.
Wow.
And that's flaky. Like everybody there knew what I was doing was wrong and no one cared. Even even the person that um should have reached out, that we have a personal connect, like we have personal relationship, like friends and family, no families. Like even the scene, no, this is the was she the she was like a senior VP too.
Mm-hmm.
like just flaked on me. Did I have not heard from her? It's been like it has been like 3 years now. Like no one
Now,
ever like
did you
flaked.
finish did you go and get it scanned in Arkansas? Like was it kind
No,
of more immediate or did you actually finish the project
I
and then
finished the
after the
project.
project was done you went back to your home base and was like, "Man, this thing is still fucked up and I need to get it checked out."
Yeah, I finished the project. Because I really thought like me, I thought it was something that I can probably like walk off after a few days.
Right.
So it was like a maybe 2 or 3 days left on the project. So I did it and then I went home. I ended up going back home and I ended up having to do I had to do like a meeting in Iowa. So I had to drive to Iowa like in 3 days to meet up with my boss. I'm like, hey boss, my leg is still bothering me. I want to fill out a incident report or whatever. So that's when I did it. And I didn't get let me see, I didn't get any scans or anything for I don't know, like a month. So I was walking around with a torn labor. I'm still working.
Right.
I go to like a doctor and he's like, okay, stay off your leg, don't walk too much until we can get authorization for MRIs and things like that. So I continue to work and the doctor's like, hey, don't walk like no more than like 4 hours a day walking, maybe. I go to Atlanta and I do this project by myself. I was there 5, 6 days. I was on my feet one day, 16 hours straight.
Mm.
And then the rest was like 10, but I couldn't because I'm still waiting on, I don't know what's going on with me. I'm
Right.
losing sleep. I'm in pain, but I'm sorry to like run on, but it was just
No,
like
no, no.
everything that happened to me was flakiness within my company, upper management. My boss was put in a bad situation. My coworkers, like I can't blame them because they're just doing their job. Like, and then now I'm like, damn, did I flake on myself though? Knowing that it was dangerous, knowing damn well I shouldn't have been doing that shit. And then now I had to walk, like I had to get a hip replacement. Like, damn, did I flake on myself? Should I have stood up for myself and be like, dude, no, I'm not doing this shit. Like,
But
yeah,
but the thing is though is, um and I think we touched on it in that and I've touched on it in other episodes of that, you know, you you know something's not right. You stand up for yourself or don't. But in my case, I stood up for myself and it made zero difference. I was basically told, be thankful you have a job. And
mm,
then of course they let you go months later.
yeah,
But, I can understand too, like you said, like I think that's super important. Um, a, a key takeaway for people listening is that in these kind of situations, if there's any doubt, you need to stand up for yourself,
yeah,
even if it causes nothing, even if it costs you
yeah,
your job,
yeah, yeah.
because the long term is it's not going to make a difference. And at least, kind of like you said, and I think probably, I'm guessing that's why you have such a passion for this, is because you actually have that little voice that goes, "Did I flake on myself by not standing up for myself?" And if I did, I'm never going to do it again.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It takes you through a whole like psychological process, like talking to certain people is just like, yo, like it's gonna come to a point where you're gonna doubt yourself for what you did, but like it's how you handle it, and it's how I
Right.
handle it. Like so, one of my missions is to tell people, like to share this story because I fucked up. Like you know what, I flaked on myself, and like it sucks when I know it was wrong for me to sit there and do this shit. Like this is weeks I was doing this shit every night.
Mhm.
It wasn't just like here and there. It was like I was going to work to do physical work when I shouldn't have been doing that shit. And I'm like, damn, I I should have nipped that shit in the bud weeks before I got hurt. I should have. But the thing is, like, I have emails saying like, "Where's the help?" And they're like, "We're working on it. We're trying." Like, you can't try. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've never ever been in a situation like this. I've never seen it, and no one else has seen it. But the problem was like, it was more going on up top. Like, it was some stuff going on up top where they were having somebody make decisions so they can their ass. and I was a damn bystander in the process, which is messed up.
Well,
So,
I think it actually goes to something much deeper and cultural that we talk about like within our groups. And that is kind of in general, men speaking up, men not repressing their emotions or whatever. I mean, we're taught from a very young age to suck it up, do this. And
mm,
especially if you've played any sort of contact sport or
mm,
whatever, been in a fight, it's always like, suck it up, get it done, whatever. And we kind of don't speak up for ourselves. Like we're raised almost to be afraid, like if we speak up to ourselves, it's a form of complaining. And
yeah,
nobody likes a complainer or a whiner. And and I think it's kind of like, you know, in trying to change the way men address that and try to get them to be more open with their emotions, it's important that I think that's a piece of it too, is that, all this stuff that we're raised to believe could have potentially led to a frame of mind, especially as an A-type personality and wanting to succeed,
yeah,
that you did stuff maybe you knew you should have never been doing. You're a project manager. You're not there to do the project, you're there to manage it. You
hmm,
know, there's a reason you don't see my uncle has been in construction for his whole life, and he's never worn khakis and a buck ups to the job site to weld or he built the science and engineering building at the University of Texas. Um, and you know, yeah, it
yeah,
doesn't
that's
work
game.
like that. So
Yeah,
it's like I think it's a kind of what you're saying. It leads to a deeper conversation that um we're trying to get men, young men, to understand
mm,
that our belief systems and some of the stuff that we've been raised to think was kind of okay, it's not,
yeah.
because not only did it lead to this injury and you had to have a hip replacement, but I want you to continue on to where it led to next. I mean, not only did you have a hip replacement, but what happened after? I mean, so you have to get it scanned and you're told, let's say you need a hip replacement. How does your job react to that?
Oh man. So, when I got the scan, they came back with, "Oh, you already had hip problems already." I was like, "Nah, I've never been to the doctor or seen anybody about hips." They're like, "Well, you had some, I think they said it had like some ABN in there, like the arthritis or I'm
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, but I've never been to the doctor, so no." And so they were trying to pull that, "Oh, you already had it," so they were trying to get out of it, but it didn't take too long for them to be like, okay. So first thing they were like, well, let's do physical therapy and see if it helps. So I did physical therapy for about 6, 7 weeks, and it just got worse. But then the doctor was like, all right, surgery. So then I had to wait like another month or two for surgery. And
Are you on light duty this time? Anything like that?
yeah, light duty. They had me, yeah, doing some light duty. And the weird, the really messed up thing is the way they would treat me with the whole workers, the work injury, the doctors, the workers' comp case manager, and what they were having me do for doing this light duty, it actually started really messing with my mental health. Like that's when depression and anxiety. I've never been someone with anxiety before. Like, I'm the one that's like, hey, I'm the life of the party, blah 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 blah. But after this injury and with the shit that they had me doing and the way they were treating me, I was like, damn, like what is going on? Why am I feeling different? Like I got super depressed. I was like in the room by myself, dark all the time. Like I wouldn't even like open the blinds. I would just sit there and chill. Like I would watch TV, but I don't even know what the hell I was watching. I was just there doing it, and I started having panic attacks. Like weird. But it was everything that this job was putting me through, and they were so they took my hip, and then they just were like still kicking my ass.
Right.
And and then some more flakiness came with my case manager, like making, working with the surgeon who did the operation. And like they were making plans without me in the office, like for me to do more work or go do other things. And I'm like, I can't even sit down. Like, dude, because like he cut through like my butt because I
Mm-hmm.
had the one through the side. So when I was at this um a, a meeting appointment with my caseworker and the surgeon were there, I had to come because I was having problems in physical therapy. I had no power. Like I ended up collapsing. I fell
Oh,
in physical
wow.
therapy. Like, yeah, because there's something going on with my knee now. So the hip and then now the knee is something going on. And so he's like, all right, let's. So I go there and he's like, all right, stop physical therapy until we figure out what's going on with this leg because that's dangerous. Okay. So I'm at this, I'm at the, I'm at the appointment and I can't sit down because I just can't. I'm still not sitting in chairs and everything. So I'm kind of like sideways or standing up and I'm very uncomfortable. They both can see it. So I'm on, I haven't started work yet. This was like the first week.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to light duty yet. They were like, so he's like, before we, like, let's get some results from your knee and make sure everything's cool. So me and the caseworker were leaving and she's like, oh, I need to get a work status report. I'm like, all right. She's like, "Oh, you can go ahead. I'll go talk to the doctor." All right, cool. So I go home and I get a call that night, like, "Hey, doctor wants you to start light duty tomorrow. Go to work tomorrow." I'm like, "What?" So I didn't have a chance to even defend myself and say, "I can't even sit down. What am I gonna do here?" And you know what they wanted me to do? Go sit in a chair and just be surrounded by a bunch of people, like, like sitting there in pain and be a pro. Like it was so weird. So like I got depressed as shit, man. Like really depressed. And
Yeah.
and they kept beating on me. Like they stopped paying me. Like I was broke. Um,
How
they
did
stopped
the
paying
stop
me.
paying happen? Like, was it because
Um,
you kind of, was it because there was a, like, it was like, well, no, let me see. Hold on. See if I can remember my corporate shit. Is that when something like that happens, then they want you to, whether it's start using a short-term disability, long-term disability, some sort of whatever, and then of course you got to fill out paperwork. That's all got to be approved. Because I
yeah.
know one, when I worked for one organization, um, I had Bell's palsy and
Um,
I was out of work for, I don't know if it was 6 weeks or something. Whatever it was a long time. But basically, the day before I went back to work was the day my case got approved, that it was actually okay that I'd missed 6 weeks and that they were finally going to pay me because I'd been 6 weeks without pay.
mhm,
And I went back May 3rd, and it was May 2nd that the company that handles the short-term disability um, actually approved, saying it was okay. I was like, okay, this is fucking
mm,
weird.
yeah. Yeah. That process and the hoops and all that waiting and all that craziness is it's so draining on you. It's so draining and it can really mess with your head. And that's another part of my mental health started like getting worse because like I was doing short-term disability. I was applying
Mhm.
and there was like, okay, like so the doctor was basically like I started doing all this physical therapy and it wasn't working. I still don't have strength in my leg. I've done about a year of physical therapy with
Well, you know what's
two.
interesting is my uncle, he thought he's having knee problems and they've been
uh,
shooting his knee up. And guess what? It's not his knee. He has to have a hip replacement.
that's yo,
That's what it
like
makes me think
damn.
of when you were saying that. Like, you were like, oh, they think the knee, the knee, the knee. And the whole time you have no power and
Mm,
you're actually damaging your hip. And like with him, it's like what? They're shooting his knee up. His knee feels better, but the pain is actually coming from the hip.
yeah, yeah. No, it's weird. I'm still sitting over here thinking like this dude didn't do something right because like I've been hearing stories of 60-year-old dudes like getting full hip replacements and they're out
Mhm.
here like jogging and shit. I'm like, yo, like I'm an athlete. Like I can't even run. Like for real, I can't run. I have trouble walking up the stairs. Like it's something going on in that leg where my knee kind of like buckles in when I try to walk straight. So when it buckles in, I'm pulling the hip too.
Oh
And
wow.
I've been trying to get second opinions, trying to like figure out why, because I want to be healthy. My thing is, this is what that job took away from me too. I like to run. Like I'm a runner. I like to run outside. It's peaceful for me. I like to run on a treadmill. I can't even do that shit no more. Like they took that away from me, like being reckless. So I want to get back to being active, but I don't feel comfortable jogging, running. I just feel like there's something going on over here. And when I try to get second opinions, people don't want to talk to me because I have a workers' comp case, like like a lawyer.
Right.
And no one, like, I got turned away like a couple times. Just they're like, yeah, we don't handle that stuff. I'm like, that don't make sense. Like, I've waited 6 weeks to see you at an appointment for 6 weeks. I get here and then you're like, nah, I can't see you because you have a lawyer. Now, like, okay, like that's bullshit. That's
Well,
bullshit. And I know I'm not the only one going through that.
yeah. Well, and it's like that, and that's kind of the problem is with when you start getting into corporate type healthcare is that, you know, people, I'm sure the doctors would love to help you. I mean, this is what they spent all these years training to do. But then
Yeah.
they have a group of administrators that say, well, our company doesn't do this because
Mm-hmm.
of this. And therefore, you're kind of stuck in the lurch with, you know, unable to get a second opinion, but not even just that, unable to get, there's somebody out there who could probably tell you exactly what's wrong and probably fix it and get you back to, that quality of life that you want.
Yeah.
But they've got their hands tied by some bean counter who
Yeah.
doesn't, who's flaking,
Yeah. Like,
because
yeah.
the system as a whole
Mm.
wants to flake. They don't want to, they're probably all in cahoots with, I'm sure, the insurance people and this and that, the
Yeah.
other, but it's kind of a, um, you know, healthcare is to care for health, to make people better, not to flake out. These people
Yeah.
took oaths to help people. I mean, the right thing's the right
Yeah.
thing, whether
Yeah.
it's workers' comp or not, but everybody's got this angle of, is it lucrative for us? You know, kind of like the self-checkout. Yeah, it's lucrative for the companies deciding to use them, and it's lucrative for the people who get to install them because it's business for them.
Yeah. Yep.
But, you know, the person who's left to deal with all the shit of it is the customer.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
unfortunately, in your case, you know, we're not talking about a bag of chips from the Dollar General. We're talking about your hip and your
Yeah.
quality of life.
Yeah.
Because I know you
Yeah.
have a child, and just like I
Mm-hmm.
do, and that requires it's not just about, I want to exercise because I want to be thin or have a six pack. It's like I
Yeah.
want a quality of life
Yeah.
because I have a kid who's going to depend on me.
Right. I can't even run around with her, man. And that's another thing that, when I spoke to people about this before, like it's like this injury like did so much to my quality of life and the things, like I'm with my daughter and like I can't run around with her like I should be able to. Like for real, like I tell people like if you see me run, it's like I walk like I run or jog or whatever. I look like the Lego characters in the Lego movie. Like I'm just like dirt, 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 dirt. It's so weird, man. Like I look dumb. Like I feel so terrible with it. And I've had people like try to check and see if my one leg is longer than the other.
Mm.
It's not, but it's something. But I'm on the mission to figure this shit out, man. Like and I know I can find it in Vegas, so I'm gonna start. Actually, I just put in an order to try to get someone a second opinion out here in Vegas. I know, hey, Vegas is a place. Somebody's gonna find some shit. I'm
Right?
gonna find the right doctor.
They got everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna find the
Hey,
right doctor.
even if it's the doctor that serves the Prince of Saudi Arabia is over here gambling, and
Hey,
maybe you meet him at
you.
a self checkout and be like, "Hey man, can you
Oh.
look at my hip?"
Yeah, hey, here, I'm gonna sit on the self checkout thing real quick. We'll get the scan going real quick. Hopefully, something pops out. Dang,
Oh man.
dang.
So you said, like you said, part of that, what you noticed the flakiness is about your case manager and the doctor's making plans without you. And then, of course, going to these appointments and being like, ah, we can't really see you. So now you've had to set a second appointment just to get that opinion again. And you're faced, did you get an appointment eventually, or were you faced with the same situation? They tell you the same exact thing that the other ones told you.
I I end up getting a second, sort of a second opinion. I went somewhere and I don't know what test. Oh yeah, this one dude, he took a test. He took a test that other doctors or other physicians like that test wouldn't even show you anything. Like so
Hmm.
the one guy did a 9 bone graft or like a
Hmm.
bone test. Like, bro, like there's no bone there, dog. It's titanium. I don't know. But like other people's like, yeah, like he wouldn't see what you're talking about. He
Right.
wouldn't see that. Um, but I kind of all like I gave up for a while because I had no money coming in. I'm like I couldn't do it. I hadn't like so my
Right.
insurance was gone. I had no money. So I'm starting to get to a point now I can go out and try to like reach out and try to figure this thing out, But let me I gotta I'm sorry, I'm full of stories, man.
No,
I'm
yeah, no,
full of
tell
stories.
them. Tell them.
Here's I got this is flaky. Oh man. So so with that situation with my case manager and my surgeon who doing that, so I got to a point where I was not ready to go to work. I was my hip was still messed up, my mental health was messed up. So I was telling my I was trying to get short-term disability until I was ready, until I find out what's up with the hip, and then I get mentally ready to go out here and travel around the country and the world,
Right.
right? So I'm trying to figure out what my best move is. And I got to a point where I'm like, fuck it. I got to go back to work. I'm broke. I'm not ready. I can't perform like I used to. So I got to go. So I reach out to them and they're like, oh, we'll get back to you. And they didn't get back to me like for a while. And then I end up going back for my follow up from the surgery. To go to my follow up, I go to the follow up. That surgeon is no longer there. And then the new doctor, the same thing I've been complaining about in physical therapy and the doctor that's not gone. Now I'm gone. I see the new doctor. And the new doctor's like, damn, yeah, that's oh, I haven't done physical therapy for like 3, 4 months now. They already released me. They're like, yeah, you're done, dude. And I'm still fighting for myself. So the doctor, he sees me, he's like, oh, we got to put you back in physical therapy right away. So I go back to physical therapy. So I went 3 months without it. And now this doctor, I'm like, damn, now this guy's listening. Cool, cool. So I go do more physical therapy. Same shit's going on though. Like we cannot get strength in this leg and all that. But when I wasn't in that time when I didn't have physical therapy, I had reached out to the company. They reached out back to me, and I told them about, hey, this is not right. My case manager and my surgeon, they've making plans without me to do that. I don't think that's right. Like, what do I do? And they're like, oh, we're gonna put it under investigation. So my company's like, oh yeah, that doesn't sound right. We'll investigate it. So I'm like, oh, cool. Yay, investigate. So when I go back to physical therapy, I'm like, ain't no way in hell they're gonna give me the same damn case manager because she's under investigation. Same damn person. They didn't do shit. They didn't do anything, dog. That's flaky.
Yeah.
Flaky. Flaky. Give me the same person that um was under investigation. It's more than one workers' comp case manager there. I know.
Well, and if nothing else, like, kind of but I don't know. I think I'm just a different person in that if if I'd been that case manager and maybe whoever was like, okay, maybe you're under investigation for not doing your job. I think for me, if anybody ever doubted whether I was doing my job, I think I would overcompensate by doing additional stuff. Meaning, if I had that same patient that I once had and they felt like I didn't do enough, I would probably go a little extra to go, hey, look, I'm sorry I didn't give you the level of service that you deserved. Let me, because I'm always the kind of person that regardless of what it is, let's just make it right. I've worked
Yeah.
in kitchens, I've done all kinds of stuff. And when I worked in kitchens and cooked or waited tables at the same time, um, if somebody sent something out wrong, I'd be like, I just tell the customer, let me make it right. And typically I would end up with a better tip anyway, just because I'd never make excuses. Let
Yeah,
me just make it right.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that's kind of the bottom line of you don't get I don't see a lot of it. I see a lot of lack in that area
Mm-hmm.
of let's just
Me too.
make it right. It's kind of more like let's two-step around the subject,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Don't complete the process, but band-aid it. Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah.
band-aid it.
And so they did anything change with her? Did or at
N-
what point did they finally say, well, you know, if it didn't work then, it's not gonna work now and we need to, you know, take further action.
Nothing really happened, man. I did I completed some more physical therapy for it. Um, Improvement was really not there. Even the physical therapist was like, yeah, like we want to keep you. We're gonna request to do
Right.
more work with you because, like something's going on, but they denied it. And they were like, yeah, basically just kicked me to the curb. And then when that happened, I just kind of gave up and was like, all right, fuck it. I gotta do some work. So, dude, it is crazy that like the whole process. So for a while, I was just like, man, fuck this company. Man, I'm gonna find it. You did this to me. Fuck you. I was very angry. So I
Right.
started looking, for another job. I'm like, yo, I got a great resume. I've been I've been with this company for 10 years. I have a great resume. I got a good background. I'm sure I can interview well. So I went out here and I could not get an interview, man. And I was like, damn. So then I said, all right, I'm gonna just go back. I'm gonna do things a little different. But and the shitty thing is I loved my job, man. Like I was that ride or die employee.
Right.
Like everybody loved to work with me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And
I know.
I loved it. I loved it. And then they
You
did that.
yeah,
Eh, eh,
you same way
eh.
at Disney doing payroll, 2 a.m. phone calls, all the shit. All
Mhm.
the extra. Um, you almost seem like you get fucked over for being loyal.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Yep.
then that kind of it impacts what what you're bringing into the next role you possibly get
Yeah.
by no fault of your own because, you know, like, you know, they say fear is your body's trying to protect itself. And kind of I think men when we feel fear, we kind of shut down and block it out and don't let any emotion in. But then what happens is you you put up that wall and then therefore, you know, if you're applying to something else or you're going into something else, you still have that little thing in the back of your head of like, man, you know, am I gonna get fucked over again?
Yeah.
Are they the same way?
Hmm.
Um, should I be ride or die? But I don't know. Like me, I just don't really know any other way to be. And I shouldn't
Yeah.
have to change who I am or the way I am um, to protect myself from evildoers. I don't
Yeah.
really know what other word to say, but you know, like people, I think at some level when it becomes like that, that um, you feel taken advantage of.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Oh, I
your
yeah.
loyalty's exploited.
That's shitty. That's a shitty feeling, man. Very shitty.
It is.
Uh, and you know what? And it happens. It happens a lot. And and again, it's like how you deal with it, man. Like you can let it beat you down, or like you can be like, all right,
But
it
you
ain't
know,
gonna
while
happen
you're
again.
sorting it out, it's
Yeah.
that sorting out
Hmm.
and coming to that realization within yourself and how you're gonna react to it, move forward, what you're gonna pursue next. Are you gonna
Yeah.
hold on to that baggage in your next role? That's where that kind of depression, anxiety comes in, is
Hmm.
that um, you begin to doubt yourself. You begin to doubt your values and what you stand for because for whatever reason, your values haven't been um, valued within the organization you're riding or dying for.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and then you're
And I
like,
was on my
well,
way
am I
back.
wrong? Yeah.
Yeah, I was on my way back, man. I got so desperate and broke and everything. Like you said, how am I gonna deal with it? So I said, all right, fuck it. I'm gonna go back to work. But if I ain't lifting shit, I ain't doing nothing. Like I'm not doing none of that dumb shit. And I'm gonna stand up for myself and I'm a enjoy. I'm gonna go back and do the best I can to enjoy the job again, like I used to. But then it came into my head too. I'm like, well, shit, I might have a target on my back because I do have a lawsuit, a workers' comp lawsuit
Hmm.
against them. So I might have a target. But I was like, you know what? I didn't do anything wrong. So, and if I go
Why
back
do
and
I
they
feel
fuck with
guilty?
me, you're right, right, man. Yeah, like what did I do? But just be a ride or die for my employer, you know, and it bit me in my ass. So I was on my way back, and then I actually called the HR, oh HR, so call HR to try to set up a call and be like, hey, like what can I do to get back in? Boom, 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 and no call back. And then I get a letter saying my position was eliminated, and yeah, to look for a job within the company or outside the company right when I was about to go back. But like it, when I was applying for jobs and I couldn't get an interview, that kind of pushed me to be like, why am I trying to work for somebody else? Look, you got an idea. Why don't you push this idea and like you can do something better? So when I didn't get interviews and I couldn't find another job, I said, fuck it. Let me just do me. And that's when I came up with the whole Flakedemic thing. And I don't know what's gonna happen with it, but I feel happy knowing that it's my, it's my brand, it's
It's your
it's my
truth.
product, and yeah, it's my truth, and I'm the boss. Like if shit don't get done, that's on me, and I got to deal with that. But I'm not. I if I get fucked over by the
Hmm.
flakedemic, it's me getting fucked. I'm me fucking myself over. That's me flaking on myself.
So, like, I'm guessing due to your hip, due to all this stuff, you had some time where this was kind of percolating, this idea.
Yeah.
And um how did that little light bulb moment happen that it's like just like me, I was sitting at the counter at the Waffle House next to
Hmm.
some dudes. We're all eating breakfast and I go, the men of the house, the men of the Waffle House. I go,
Yeah.
where did Flake Dimmick just go?
Um, flakedemic came from personal, just a few personal incidents or situations with friends where they just they weren't there. They were only there when they wanted to be there. It was convenient, and that's flaky to me. Just so I'm just like, why is this acceptable? It was like I would have a friend that he would meet a girl, and then he would disappear for weeks or months, and then when they break up, he comes back and it's like nothing happened with friends. Like, bro, like no, we like you can't just come back and like for convenience. Like that's very flaky, and like how can I depend on you if I need you? But like yeah, like it was like and like people you didn't know was more important than the people you know. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like it was like, hey, go out there and enjoy and go meet someone and find love. But at the same time, it's like when you distance yourself from the people that's been there before this person, like you look stupid as hell coming back constantly. Like so that right there really got me. So I had to send my buddy a message like, hey, I can't be your friend anymore, man. Your energy's not there. Good luck. Deuces. Like like I can't have you in my life because that's bullshit. I don't want flaky people in my life. And I sent him that message, and that's kind of when it started. Because I'm just like, yo, like I'm always here for everybody, and I'm always trying to look out for people and make sure people are good. And but like, damn, like why is this so accepted? And then I have a friend that we've grown up together. We went to kindergarten together. We've been like brothers our whole life. We just stopped talking 3 years ago over a female, like something stupid. And like he basically chose this female over wait, what is it? I don't know, like 35-year
Yeah,
friendship. He
yeah.
chose a
No,
woman he just met. It's so weird. Like, yeah, that's
it
flaky.
happens.
Man.
It happens. I
Yeah.
mean, like I have a friend, we've known each other since first grade, so
Hmm.
like 41 years. And you know, Never anything like that. I mean, we've had our share of differences, which,
Mm.
I'm an only child. He's closer to me than he probably was his own brother. And um, you get your dust ups, but we always recovered, you know? But yeah, it's definitely understandable. And
Yeah,
and so when you were like dealing with that, you're like, so between that and the job, you're like, man, like, okay, I'm starting to notice it more and more. Like,
yeah,
not only is it the situation I've been through, case managers, physicians, you know, the organization, and now it's hitting you personally.
yeah,
And you're like, what I imagine in my head is like, yeah, a couple glasses of wine, get on the Twitter or something, and you're like, fucking Flakedemic, flaky,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just irritated and I'm gonna blast it out, and then all of a sudden it kind of takes life, or I what point where you were like, um, I've got to do something with this, like this is important, and I need to do something with it.
Mm.
Where was that
Um,
point for you?
I
Hey, this is Hunter from the Everything's Connected podcast. Are you feeling drained? If you're searching for ways to manage stress and find a little more peace, the Podcast Connection Network is here for you. We've got amazing shows on mental health, mindfulness, and all kinds of ways to live a happier, healthier life. Check out the link in the episode's description.
I think me getting on TikTok a couple years ago. I got on TikTok and I still had the idea. And then actually the flaky dude who always run around, keeps going in and out of my life.
Keeps flaking.
He, yeah, he pushed me
Serial
to
flaker,
get
as
on.
you would say.
He's a serial flaker. He's a serial and a pattern flake. It's a pattern to it. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I like it.
Pattern and serial. Yeah, man. But he's the one that convinced me. He was like, "Hey, you should go TikTok live," because I was like, "Nah, I don't want to do that." So he convinced me to get on there, and he went live one day. I went on with him, and I was like, "That's kind of fun." So I started doing my own lives, and then I just started having like some repeat people come in, and then I started talking about the whole Flakedemic, and they're like, "Yo, like it's flaky as hell out here, dating, boom, boom." So people, they like the
Resonated.
concept. Yeah, they really like the concept. And I have a bunch of notes. I still have paper around here like that I was writing down like from a couple years ago, like ideas for it and like merchandise. And then I told my cousin about it, and he's like, I like that. And then one day he calls me and he's like, Hey, check this out. He sent me a text, and it was a picture of a logo. It was this logo. My cousin just made it, just just chilling on his couch. So I was like, dude, I love that. And then I took it and we were rolling with it. And so things started coming, and I like the logo, and I'm like, that would look good on shirts. So then I came up with the shop, and then I was like, I want to do a website. I want to do an interactive website. And I was talking about it 2 years ago, and now I have it. And like, so like the process is crazy that I started this just this idea. And then now this year it's Flakedemic LLC. I have that website. It's not to where I want it yet, but I mean it's a cool website. I got the merchandise there. Um, like I really done something with it. Oh, I have the Flake theme song. I have a song for the Flakedemic. Like I have these ideas, but it's just like wow, like I've done a lot, but I don't feel like I've done nothing yet.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel the same way. Like I was like looking at your website and your link tree and whatnot, which I'm going to post in the description when the
thank you.
podcast comes out. But it's kind of one of these things of like the combination of factors, because kind of like you, like I mean, you know, I'm sure you're familiar with spreadsheets, and I was too, and I would keep a spreadsheet of like the 300 jobs I applied to. Did
Mm,
they call me back? Did I follow up? Did I answer their questionnaires? Did I get an offer? Did I turn it down? Why did I turn it down? And between all that kind of stuff and whatever, at some point, it was just like nothing was happening. And I'm like, I got to do something, like,
yeah,
because we're used to doing things. I need to move forward. And I said, if nothing else, like a podcast will help me um, keep myself accountable. And so I started it last July, and it's gone from one episode recorded with headphones onto my phone to now I can do some video, and we're working and part of the podcast connection network. We got the mug back there. We got,
Yeah.
and but still, like, I still need a website. Like, I feel like I've done all this stuff, but also nothing at the same time, and it's progressing. But like, kind of like you say, it's slow. It's a process, and
Hmm.
it's when you're doing it DIY, but at the same time, like, you're responsible. The onus is on you,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
feel good about it. And it doesn't feel like work. I mean, the night I talked to you, I ended up being up for I slept 4 hours, then was up 25 hours because I stayed up till like 5 that morning,
Oh,
with some other members of the Podcast Connection Network, and slept for like 4 hours. But it's like, you know, I don't get the same mental drain, fatigue that I did. I don't, I feel good. Like, I don't necessarily feel like I have to push myself. Like, I want to do this
yeah.
and I enjoy it. Do you
Yeah.
find the same is true with the Flakedemic concept?
Yes. But there's also a problem with it though. Like when I was working before my injury and all that, like I was like that go-getter. Like I was putting so much energy into this company to like
Mm-hmm.
represent for them well, right? And through all this process, I've lost that. Like if I had that energy that I had then to put in Flakedemic, like I'd be I'd feel so good. But like the mental health thing is still blocking a lot of my
Mm-hmm.
days where I'm just like I can't like I'm not where I want to be. So I have to push myself certain days where I'm just like I want to be productive. So I do flake out on myself, but I'm really trying to do things to try to get over that. Like I battle like I've never had any mental health issues before all this, but like now I'm just like holy shit, like now I can see how people out here like they can struggle with doing things because I'm like I'm not the same person that I was,
No,
and it sucks, man. Like
I
I
know. I
want to be
get it.
that person. Yeah,
I
like I
totally
want
get
to.
it.
Yeah. So I want to. I'm fighting it because I really want to do more. I want to go out. I like even editing videos. It's like I wanted to edit videos the last 2 days and I just haven't got to it. And I don't know why. And I want to push myself, but there's a blockage there where I don't want to say unmotivated. It's just sometimes it's just like I don't have it.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's kind of one of those things. I think, like, I find myself in the same situation in that, I mean, like, before the evening we spoke, I had actually was a little mentally off for whatever reason. And I came in and kind of went straight to editing a video because it was a video that I needed to edit. And I still haven't finished it, but I started it. But
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I don't know what it was that I just needed to be focused on something. And
Mm,
even though I had avoided it for so long, but I think, you know, what definitely probably makes it harder for you is, having that physical impairment that you can't do what you used to do. So I would imagine that it's much more difficult to regulate your stress and the emotions surrounding that stress because I'm sure you used to get a good runner's high and probably also, some stress relief from that. And
yeah.
so I imagine that that really impacts you know, your mental state.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to play basketball, man. I can never do that again. Like I want to teach my daughter how to play. Like I like my daughter, like she like I want like my daughter's gonna be tall. So I'm like, yo, like I want to teach her. She's like, all right, I'll give it a try. I'm like, yes, but like I can't do it the way that I've
You
thought
want?
about before the injury, It's like shit, man, basketball has been a part of my life, my whole life. And like these fuckers took that away from me, you know what I'm saying? So damn.
Well, what's
So
been
shout
part
out
of
to you.
what's been part of the so, like, with Flakedemic, what all um for the people listening who aren't familiar with it and who are gonna go
Mhm.
check out your stuff,
Yeah.
I know you got the TikTok and you got YouTube. Like, what kind of things are you focusing on, um, content wise? What is it you're doing to kind of get this out there? Um,
Mhm. Um, so So my idea is just interview a variety of people, different cities, different states, and just ask them like, what does flaky mean to you? You know, and just start that as like a conversation. I like to mix in fun questions to keep it engaging and fun. You know,
Mhm.
I don't want it like serious, but like I want to know like what does flaky mean to individuals, and because you know, and I want to know. I would like to ask like, do you have stories? Do you have a story to share? Or also, so that's my three questions I always ask. Like, what does flaky mean to you? Do you think there's a problem in society with flakiness? And how can we get better in society? Like, what are we lacking, or what can we improve on to get a little better out here, less flakier? So, like, those are the three questions I always ask. But I like to talk to people, and I want people to see these interviews and maybe say like, "Oh, damn! Like I'm going through that. I didn't know I was being flaked on." Maybe so, like, go back to the drawing board and let me like evaluate some things about this relationship I have with my coworker or my cousin, or
Mhm.
and just and serve as entertainment, but also like some knowledge, like through story sharing and storytelling.
Do you
Yeah.
find that do you find like that the definition is similar across the places you've been because you go different places? I know you were in Kansas City on one of your videos, and
Mm,
do you find like um have you heard like good solutions, or do people ever ask you like, well, why does flakiness even matter?
mm. I haven't heard that one yet. I can't wait for that one.
Well, I'm asking you because
Oh
you
yeah,
have this whole, this is your thing. This is, the Flakedemic.
yeah, yeah.
Why is this important? Why is this important to you? But more important, why is this important to us as a people, a society, a
Mhm.
country, a world? Why
Yeah,
why is it?
yeah. It's important to me because of the experiences and the situations that I've been through that's involved with flaky or flakiness. Um, I want to bring it out to society because um, I want people to I think people I want people to identify what flakiness can mean to them. Did we lose communication? Like, is communication the reason flakiness is so
Prevalent?
rampant? Yeah, if we communicated better, could it be better out here in society? Can we live like could we live better if we could like if we can like bottle flakiness, right? Like this concept of flakiness, could we get better out here? Would that start having us treat people better? The reason it's important for me is flakiness is just not an action, but it can also it can beat down your mental health as well. If you have people in your life that you can't depend on, like who do you have though? So this flakiness is just not just like the action, but it can do long term effects to people in different in that with different mindsets, different situations. So I kind of just want to bring that out there and just have that talking point, and also like to maybe if I can protect some people from some situations just from these interviews.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, like that's my goal.
Well,
I want people to
if humans are made to be connected, then flakiness is the anti-connect.
yeah, but we got to talk about it.
It's,
I want us
yeah,
to
it's the
talk
opposite.
about
It's
it.
getting further
Yeah,
away from
yeah,
being
yes.
connected. And, I mean, I think it's probably been proven through the pandemic of
Mm,
how bad disconnection from loved ones and humans, um, in general, how bad it is for mental health. And the problem is now we're 3, 4 years down the road, and now you're seeing the real parts of it. I
yeah,
think the long term effects,
mm,
if 4 years really isn't kind of long term, but it kind of is in a way.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
It
it
seems so
was
long ago.
yeah, and yeah, like you said, the pandemic it started with that disconnect, but then when people started getting back out into the streets in the world, one of the interviews, one of the guys saying like people were scared to get close to each other, so they wouldn't talk, but they were scared to even have physical touch or be around people because people still didn't know how to feel. that we were like so like you know kept away, and then like yeah, we lost that shit. Like that's like man, I think that might be bad for like the little kids, that
Mm-hmm.
like when you're a young man, that's the years where you you build relationships, you learn. But like if you couldn't leave for 2 years, 2.5 years, and be around people, man, that might be doing something to mental health for
Well,
children too.
um, well, man, was it was it you or was there somebody I heard like I don't know what it was, but you know, I don't know if it was a podcast, but what do we do to the worst convicts? We isolate them in solitary confinement.
Yeah,
That's what we do to the meanest, cruelest people on earth.
yeah,
And that's what educated people who were supposed to be that we trusted did to us
yeah,
all around
yeah,
the world,
man,
you
yeah,
know?
yep, yeah,
And that's it's a hard pill to swallow.
mm-hmm,
It's and that kind of goes back into that kind of education thing. I think sometimes it's like, no, not all educated people are bad, but like some of these people, you know, just because they have the education doesn't mean we should believe them. Doesn't
right,
mean they have our best
yeah,
interest in
that's
mind.
right, yeah,
Because, you know, they had us locked down wearing masks. And not only that, though, there's, what really comes to my mind a lot is the so many people who had loved ones who were older who got sick or in a hospital and they weren't allowed to have contact with even their family and had
family,
to
yeah,
look through a window or be isolated and you know that sure as hell ain't the cure and it doesn't help for the cure
yeah,
because I mean when people are sick it's the people around them that take care of them that lift their spirits up and that whole connection is it's a whole other piece of healing,
yeah,
and yeah, it was really a disservice, but we can't undo that and the only thing
yeah,
we can do is kind of move forward and get better and
yeah,
maybe expose some of those things, but also I think kind of like what you're doing is really ask ask the right questions. And that like what I said was, why is this important? Um, some of the damage that you suffered has already been done and you're not going to get that back. So now it's about moving forward,
mm-hmm,
and um, still through, kind of what I heard in the beginning of our conversation of um, taking the problem of, hey, it's snowing and you're not going to get on a plane for 2 days and I'm sorry, but here's how we can make it not so bad. You
mm-hmm,
know, your damage is
yeah,
done and now you're out here kind of asking the questions and but more important is what are we going to do? Have you had any good responses on or what is your thoughts on how we can stamp out the Flakedemic and or make it better?
yeah. Yeah, one of the most common response to it is communicating better, setting boundaries, setting those boundaries with certain people like that are flaky that because one of the things I like to talk about in there in the interviews is like do you know someone that's flaky in your life right now? Is everybody in your life non-flaky? And everybody says, oh no, I know flaky people. Okay, so like how do you deal with that when they flake on you? How does it make you feel? Like, do you constantly keep inviting them and they don't come? Like, or as a certain point where you just like, it's situational, like I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
invite this person and they're not going to show up. But like, man, that's a lot to have to deal with, like it's categorizing relationships. And that's a mental strain though. For real. Like if you got to do that with multiple people, and yeah, like I don't know. I like for me, I think just being able to communicate and talk to people and just be about what your word, integrity. We talked about integrity the other day on our
Mm-hmm.
phone conversation. Yeah, man. If we can
It's all
just
about
do
doing
that,
what you say you're gonna do.
yeah, yeah. That's that's how we improve in my eyes. That's a start. Talk to people, respect people. Uh, that's how we start in
And I
my eyes.
think, like with for all the flakers out there, it's or if you're on the other side of the flake and you need to have kind of these conversations is um, I think it's about starting small. It's about making progress and whether you're the flaker or the being flaked on, I think awareness, recognizing it that it's
Yep.
happening, and then kind of like you said, you don't have to go full boundary and cut somebody out right away, but you can have a conversation,
Yeah.
but a lot of people are uncomfortable with
Yeah.
uncomfortable conversations, but as a manager, I had to have them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
you know so you
Yeah.
kind of have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, but
Mm-hmm.
if you're able to do that, or if you draw a boundary with a friend or something and they ask why the boundary or why the shift, well, you just say, hey, because you're a little flaky. And I mean,
Yeah.
nothing personal, but also like, my time is valuable. As humans, time is the one thing we cannot get back, and giving each other our time and our exchange of energy is it's worth more than any organization could ever pay us.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't ever feel bad about going back to some corporate hellhole when my daughter's sick. I take her to the doctor. I take care of her. I stay home with her. Um, she's worth, I'm happy to give that time away and
Yeah.
donate it because they were never going to pay me, you know, what it was worth. So,
Yeah.
it's, I think, kind of understanding that and um, I think that's what people can take away is like, if time is our most valuable commodity, then, flaking out on a person or not being there for them or not doing what you said you were going to do. If you say, hey, Dell, let's have this meeting at 4, or let's grab lunch, you know, I don't
Yeah.
want to hear 10 minutes from it that, uh, you know,
Right. Mm-hmm.
because we're both sacrificing something, whether it's time with our family, time with our kids. It could be anything.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of important for the people out there listening who might be flakers and might be cringing at the moment is, you don't have to be a flaker
Yeah.
forever,
Yeah. You don't. No.
you know,
I'm
but
going to
only,
introduce everyone to Flakehab. It's a rehab for flaky people.
oh,
That's
wow.
in the works. Yeah. Yeah. If your ass is out there flaking, your ass going to Flakehab. Coming for you.
Well, it's kind of like you know, like anything, I think like starting the Flakedemic, the podcast is just like, if you can just make one positive forward motion to it and start gaining some ground, you kind of start stacking small wins and then they add up
Hmm.
to a whole. And, you know, and I think where a lot of people could gain something from it is, just start by holding yourself accountable to something. Like
Yeah.
if I say I'm gonna make your bed every day, just say I'm gonna make my bed every day and hold
Hmm.
yourself accountable to it. And then if you can do that, and then, once you start doing it for yourself, then I think you kind of transcends to others automatically. When you hold yourself accountable, then you hold other people accountable, is what I've always
Yeah.
found.
Hmm. Yeah.
Especially as a
Yeah.
manager.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
have to be accountable because there's people watching you.
Yeah.
And
Maybe that's what we should do. We should like if we get flaky people, we send them to manager training. Because if you're a manager, like you can be, I mean, that shows you, that gives you all the skills you need not to be flaky. But if you're a
yeah,
bad manager, then you're in trouble though. Shit, you could be a bad manager.
well, there was one time, I remember one time, so a dog got hit by my clinic, and it was right next to the mailbox on like a major roadway. It's kind of like at an intersection. I was in a meeting and I had people calling me like front desk, like, there's a dead dog, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm like, well, I'm in a meeting like 20 miles away. What do you want? Like, well, I go call DPS or animal services, see if somebody will remove it from the roadway. They won't because it's not actually in the roadway. It's kind of our thing. Well, the maintenance man can put it in the dumpster. I'm like, these are just not good options.
Yeah.
This is man's best friend.
Yeah.
And I have a whole group of people looking at me and expecting me to do the right thing. So when the meeting was
Hmm.
done, I came and got my grandfather's truck. My neighbor dug a hole and I buried it on the 12 acres I live
Okay.
on. And
Okay.
that moment changed how my team saw me.
Mm.
But part of it was I had to ask myself, like, look, this is one of those moments in your life. And I don't care if it's your management career, your life with your friends, your life with your family. They're looking to you to make the right and best decision.
Hmm.
And it's not going to be the easy one. It's not going to be the easy thing to do. But when I did that, then people knew what I was about, that I was about doing the right thing. And then it wasn't as difficult to get the buy in from the team to do things. But what it also does is it gives you reinforcement that, oh, I can do this. I can do the right thing, and not do the easy thing. And I feel good about it too. And then I feel like, I'm holding myself accountable. All of a sudden, I've set myself a new standard.
Yeah. Yep.
And and then and then everything after that was like, well, I would ask myself that question, like, well, what would that manager, what would that Richard do? Because one time they were like, hey, there's a snake out here in the front parking lot. Well, I'm not a snake wrangler, but I was out there and I was willing to deal with it because, there's no
What did you
pest
do?
control. Yeah, I mean,
What did you
hey,
do? Tell me about it. How you get this snake situation
I went
handled?
out there with a pole and it had a little
Yeah.
noose on it. But guess what? It was actually one of our fake snakes that fell out of the awning that are used to keep the birds from building nests under the carport.
Oh,
But I always say
okay.
is, hey, it didn't matter. Guess what?
You
I
jumped in.
showed up out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
They called me and said there's a snake in the front thing, and I went out there to do it, knowing full well I have no business catching snakes, but I was willing to give it a go. And I think,
Yeah.
if more people, it's not like I'm adventurous or crazy or anything, but if more people kind of,
Take the
sometimes,
initiative.
yeah, well, sometimes you're
Yeah.
going to be the only one that it counts on.
Hmm.
There's going to be a situation where either you're the decision maker, you're the most qualified person to make the decision, you're the only one who can do something. And I mean, this doesn't mean workplace personal. This may mean maybe you're a person with a concealed carry license and there was just a shooting in Sydney, Australia Mall.
Mm.
There's these incidents that happen and you might be the only person who is trained, capable to do something, and it might be on you. And if you're not willing to do it, you know,
Yeah.
then the outcomes can be very different. And so, I think this thing of flaky can go so deep. I mean, it can go everything from somebody just not returning a phone call or not meeting you to dinner
Hmm.
to, if you're the person with the concealed carry and somebody opens fire somewhere and you don't do something about it and you flake out on yourself, then you have to live with that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think it's a wide concept of um that's useful for so many different scenarios, but also um levels of, you know, within personality and or situations, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
kind of my thoughts.
Yeah. I like your thoughts.
What
They're good.
what are
Good.
you
Good thoughts.
what are you looking to do? Like, what do you want what do you want to see happen in the next 6 months?
6 months.
Yeah.
Um,
Where
I am.
where's it going to
I'm
go from
really.
here?
I'm trying to make the YouTube partner program.
Hmm.
So like I'm I'm trying to push a lot of content out on YouTube.
Hmm.
Since I'm getting started late into the game. But that's a short term goal that I really want to look forward to. I want to be able to get that program, get into the apply for the program, get accepted, to get my videos, my interviews seen, but my brand. I really want to grow this brand. One of the things that I tell people is I want the brand to be as I want it bigger than FUBU. I want it to be a clothing brand as well.
Hmm.
I don't want it to just be interviews or a YouTube channel. I want the website to be successful. I want the brand to be well known. I want a household name brand, really. It probably won't be 6 months, but um, that's what I'm looking for to grow attention, awareness, and get this YouTube thing popping.
Now,
Yeah.
where can people find you? Give them your handle. Of course, I'm going to put it all in there,
Okay.
but I want you to say it in case
Okay.
so people
All
can
right.
go back and either click it or whatever, because I know some people
Okay.
just have it on auto go.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm on Flakedemic, Facebook, Flakedemic X, Flakedemic Instagram, Flakedemic TikTok, and also Flakedemic on YouTube. YouTube has a lot of so YouTube and my website www.flakedemic.com will be the only places you could see full interviews. But the other Flakedemic accounts are just little previews here and there to just kind of pique your interest a little bit. Um, let's see, my personal TikTok account is Dell DELL underscore Jack. So Dell DELL underscore JACK. That's my personal on TikTok. I do like silly shit, and also throw some previews of um Flagdemic on there as well to try to get some more eyes on it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm off the platforms.
And I'll be including all those in the description. It'll be in his link tree because I too was kind of like had the TikTok and then went to the YouTube and then the website and saw all the different things and
Okay,
whatnot. So I know there's a
thank you.
plethora of information out there that we got to get out there. But yeah, um, it was great having you.
This was a blast.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for you know all the listeners to hear this. I hope to get something out of it. I it's funny because I feel like kind of had these parallel paths, maybe different reasons or whatever, and how it's kind of come apart. But I definitely dig it. We're probably two guys that just needed to
Yeah.
direct our energy and our what we used to do, and maybe
Hmm.
take a little bit of that. You know, of course, after we dealt with all the stuff, but
Yeah.
that's why we talk about kind of the mental health component is, um, and I can say that while I have my bad days, you know, the podcast and meeting people like yourself and Marcel and some of the other guests I've interviewed have really, um, those are my favorite times and my favorite things to do and my favorite things to put out because I think they have the opportunity to really impact, you know, people.
Yeah.
And if they can get something from it and it helps them and, um, culture, as you know, from any organization, culture is a damn hard thing to change.
Yeah.
But guess what? If we don't give it a shot, it won't change.
That's right. That's right.
And, if we can do it one person at a time and just, you know, I'm still for the underdog. I'm still for good winning over evil,
Hmm.
always.
Yep.
And
Me too.
I think I still think this world has a chance. And, because I have a 10-year-old, 19-year-old, and 21-year-old, um, I'm going to do everything I can to give them the knowledge, tools, and
Hmm.
or other people um, to ensure that they have a better world because I would not wish them, living through some of the stuff that I've had to.
Yep. Yep. Think about the same thing with my daughter as well. Yep.
Yeah, you don't want to. Yeah, got to give them tools, and I think, like anything, awareness and a conversation. Like you said, communication is kind of key, and um, we as the world got to get better at communicating. And um, and just because we disagree doesn't mean it has to be any sort of violence component or anything. It just
Yeah.
means, hey, but why not just have a discussion about it? And
Yeah.
you don't have to like everything about everyone or
Right.
everyone's points of views, but just realizing that everybody's not like you. Everybody didn't grow up like you, and we all have different experiences, but we can learn to take some of the good from each other and kind of pay it forward. But
Yeah.
Let go.
Asteroid of fear.
well, you've made it this far, which means you're probably a super fan of the show. That's amazing, and I really appreciate your support. To keep up with all the latest updates, make sure you're following the show on social media. You can find all the links in the bio. And if you've been enjoying the content, I'd be so grateful if you could take a minute and leave a review. It really helps us reach more people who might love the show as much as you do. Also, don't forget to tell one friend about the show as well. Word of mouth is the best way to help us grow. And if you're feeling extra generous, check out the link tree in the bio where you can find a link to donate. Every little bit helps me keep creating the content you love. Thanks for being an awesome superfan. I couldn't do it without you.